Next guest, we got Russell
Castanaro.
Castanaro.
Beautiful.
How we do?
That was great.
Good. And you're the CEO and co-founder of Wampay? Did I say that right?
Wampay.
Wampay.
I just try to make things really hard to
All right,
pronounce.
here we go.
Get longer legs, you know.
That's what they call 0 for 2, I think.
Hey, the first one was good. No, that was
Okay, good.
But enabling e-commerce for everybody. Can you tell us about Wampay a little bit?
Sure. So we believe that any business anywhere should be able to accept electronic payments, regardless of where the business founders are from, what business they're in, as long as it's legal, and like what minority group they may or may not be a part of. So we write software that allows anyone to accept electronic payments in Bitcoin without having a third-party merchant, without having a bank necessarily. If they have one, it's great. If they don't, it's great. And there's really no other way to do that. And we thought it was really important to provide that kind of service for businesses.
So the industry that you're kind of disrupting is sort of kind of the traditional accepting credit cards for payment, right? So why is that industry need disrupting, do you think?
Well, there's a lot. First of all, the problem is, one big problem is that in the United States, 30% of businesses either can't get credit cards or can't take credit cards, or they're just cost prohibitive because of their markup. Maybe their markup's only 20%. If they're paying 4% in credit card fees, they're giving up a fifth of their profit, to credit card fees. So a low margin business, it just doesn't make sense. You've got also, a lot of times the credit card companies hold on to their money for 35, 45 days. And there's chargebacks that you don't have any control over. The real reason that we got into this from a personal level is before I started Wampay, I ran the Hawaii Information Consortium. We provided all the e-government services in the state of Hawaii. So in addition to like registering your business and all this kind of stuff and ordering Obama's birth certificate, which everyone tried to do for a while, we processed about $2 billion in payments a year and burned through 3 different banks in the process because they just couldn't handle $140 million days. It just freaked them out. And it took me a long time to understand why we were having so many problems. And the way we think of it is if you pay your taxes with an e-check, you give them your bank routing number and all that, you think it's cash, right? It's taken right out of your bank account. But to banks, that's credit. They're issuing you credit, and they're on the hook for 45 days for that. And so that's why it blows their minds up. Even though we were doing, we'd have $130 million going through in a day, the average bill was $300. But it still didn't matter. It was a whole lot of risk to them. And credit cards at the time, this is around 2009, 2010, were peaking in fraud. Fraud is a $20 billion problem in the United States. And most consumers don't pay it directly. They pay it through the fees that they pay in their credit cards. And so we wanted to solve that. And I said, the problem is that people can't make cash payments online electronically. And I realized it was e-commerce was broken because of that. And then we went on and started working with cannabis businesses to license them. And I realized we couldn't accept payments for them electronically. And then Bitcoin came on the scene. This was about 2011, 2012. And I was like, oh my gosh, this solves both problems. So my co-founder, Matt, and I were totally jazzed. And we decided to go all in January 2017 and start offering the software out there. And really, like right now, there's no way for me to send you electronic money without going through probably 3 different companies in between us. Until Bitcoin came around, I can send you money, and in 12 seconds, you'll have it on your wallet.
I think there's a lot of fear of the unknown with Bitcoin. Can we kind of just break down what Bitcoin is and kind of how it just changed the game, but for our Bitcoin newbies out there, what is it?
So it is electronic cash. And instead of, that's the simplest way to put it. It's electronic cash. And instead of having to trust in a government or a bank or a financial institution for doing it, you trust math. You trust a system that, since it was launched in 2009, it's never stopped running. It's the most redundant software system running on the planet because so many different people are using it. It's totally decentralized. And no one's been able to break it. You can't say that about anything. I mean, electronic payments fraud is rampant, but for doing bank transfers, the SWIFT system is notoriously bad. So it's the most secure system that we have, and it's something that you can trust in because you don't have to trust a policy, you can trust in the code. And you're not going to go look at the code any more than most people sign those agreements whenever they download software. But you've got a huge population of tech people who are looking and saying, look, this is right, because it's public software. So you can look at it that way.
Right.
So for your company, who are your customers, and like how did you the process of going out and kind of finding those first couple of customers,
Right, so-
and where are you with that?
So when we started, we thought that the best group was going to be the cannabis industry because they don't have banking. A lot of times they have to. In Colorado, we're lucky. 35% of the businesses don't have banking here, the cannabis businesses. But in the nation, over 60% of cannabis businesses don't have any banking. That means they have to hire armed guards in vans to pick up their cash, big duffel bags, and bring them to someplace where they can warehouse them, shrink wrap, and palletize them. And that costs them, just to do the collection of it, costs them between 8 and 10% of their top line revenue, and then between 1 to 2% of all the money that's in the warehouse per month. So that's incredibly expensive, and they don't get to deduct any of those expenses. So that's the biggest pain point we're going after. Other industries that we're working with are high risk. So if you take payments online, you have credit card fees that are over 4%. It's a for sure we're actually cheaper than even regular credit cards, but there's less of a reason for them to move to something else. But for any high-risk businesses where they have chargeback problems, where they have high fees, that most of the high-risk businesses are between 8 and 25% is what they pay on credit card fees. Imagine paying 25%. There are businesses that pay 25% for credit card fees,
Right.
and they wait 30 or 45 days. So we're marketing to them, and we're right now in the middle of a 6-week marketing blitz to try and sign up as many customers as we can, so we can figure out what our cost of acquisition is, and really refocus on efforts on the customers that really need us the most.
Is it really the cannabis industry that brought you to Denver? Because now we have Denver and Hawaii, so a little bit far. Why Denver?
So ironically, no. I was I was in Hawaii, and I was doing 2 or 3 trips a month. And there's no short trips from Hawaii. And I have 2 kids, and my ex and I have 50-50 custody. So my ex wanted to leave Hawaii, and we talked about it. And I was like, okay, well, it makes a lot of sense. I'll do 50-50 here, and 50% in Denver, 50% in Hawaii. And so we came, and I brought the kids up in August, and I moved up and got a place in September. And then I was like, hear about this Denver Startup Week thing. This is just last year. And I went to Denver Startup Week, and I saw how the mayor was up talking last year, and then all the state officials were here, and all the businesses giving places for the venues. I was like, I need to be right here to run this business. It has nothing to do with cannabis industry. It's that this is so friendly to the startup market, to startups. I was like, this is where I need to be, and I sold my house and moved here full time.
Cool. Where can people find you and your company and get more information?
It's wampei.com. It's wampei.com.
Pronounced Wampei.
Wampei.
Yes, I got that right the second time. Thank you.
That's right. Okay, everybody, time for a very quick break. Russell, thank you for joining us on the
Thank
show
you very
today.
much.
Appreciate it.